Hey, business building warrior. Welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio. I'll be your host today. My name's Jim Cockrum. If we haven't met, thanks for hanging out with me. It's not just me today. We're going to have a guest on in just a moment. His name is Ryan Walsh with Encore Business Group, encorebusinessgroup.com. They provide third-party logistics, which sounds like a big, boring term, doesn't it? Basically, they handle other people's boxes. If you're an Amazon seller selling stuff, someone's got to touch boxes and box tape. If you don't want to do it yourself, you can use a 3PL, a prep center. And here's the big theme today. If you've got some extra garage space, if you got a little extra storage space in your home and you want to make some extra money, there's a big opportunity for you to touch other people's boxes. You can be the one touching box tape, so they don't have to, and you can get paid very well to do it. It's a great income stream, and there's a huge demand for it. And Ryan, who you're about to meet, is going to help us shape out this opportunity for the Amazon's reseller community. That's you, that's people who sell on Amazon. There's a website. I'm going to give it to you. It's in the show notes. If you're interested in getting more information about turning your extra square foot, it could be just 100 square foot of space. So you've got, maybe it's wherever you do your own prep, your kitchen table. You could have a couple of clients. Maybe those clients live overseas. Maybe they live in a small apartment. They can't do the prep. Maybe they're just too busy to do the prep themselves and they want to pay someone to do it. There's a huge demand, and you could turn that extra space you have into a prep center. Well, here's the link to the website where you can get more information as we develop out this course and training. It's silentjimdotcom/prep center training. That simple. silentjim.com/prep center training. The link is in the notes along with all the other links today. But I'm going to spend some time with Ryan Walsh, who runs an 18,000 square foot prep center. He started off as a proven Amazon course student. He pivoted into this opportunity. He explains that today. Took on a few clients, started growing. Now he's shipping thousands of boxes a week, has a great reputation, has helped numerous sellers in our community, and he recognized a need. You see, he's getting called and approached constantly as one of the prep centers in the large network that we've accumulated in our community and other Amazon selling communities. Actually, there's a list of all those prep centers for free at PrepCenterNetwork.com. Ryan's one of them. But he noticed an opportunity because there's so many people reaching out to him constantly looking for prep services, and he has to say no to a lot of them. We hear the same thing from all the prep centers. People need help with getting their inventory ready for Amazon if they don't want to receive it themselves. That's the business opportunity. So we're going to talk about a little bit of Ryan's story, what led him to get into prep, the opportunity that's available there to any of us who have a little extra space, and how to get plugged into this community of people who are considering becoming a small prep center, or maybe you already have a prep center and you're doing these services for others and you want to be a part of our network where you can benefit from things like reduced fees on your supplies, getting box tape at the cheapest possible price, using the best solutions and the software, the best practices. We're going to talk about 3P Mercury a little bit today, the software that's completely revolutionizing how prep centers are able to serve their clients as efficiently as possible, lowering the cost of bringing the inventory in the front door and getting it out the back door. If we can make that more efficient, man, that's just one of the incredible benefits and features of being a 3P Mercury user. If you're a seller, is your prep center is going to be able to process your inventory so much smoother. So if your prep center isn't a 3P Mercury user yet, you need to talk them into it, because the prep centers that are using it, as you'll hear Ryan describe today, have discovered that it helps get inventory checked in and out the back door faster than anything that they've seen. It's completely revolutionizing the way prep centers and 3PLs work. It's catching fire. Now's a great time to be getting in on this opportunity. Here's a reset for you if you're maybe new, you're considering selling on Amazon, you're newer in your adventure. Here's the thing I want you to pick up on and look for these themes. There's a blue ocean of expanding opportunity when it comes to being an Amazon seller. Amazon's getting bigger, their product catalog's getting bigger, more people are shopping there, spending more money there. The future is very bright for all associated and related activities when it comes to being an Amazon seller. And this is an add-on service that's necessary if a seller doesn't want to do it themselves. This is a necessary piece. Someone has to do it. And there's a lot of sellers looking for third-party prep centers at any given time. You could be one. Pick up a couple extra clients, pick up a few extra $1,000 a month. It can really help funnel funds into your business and help you grow faster. Well, let's jump over and have the conversation with Ryan. Just looking over my notes real quick, make sure there's not anything else I had to mention before we get into the interview. No, I think that's good. Listen to this interview and enjoy, and send us your feedback. And again, that link one more time, silentjim.com/prep center training. That's where you go if you want to get on our list to get more information as Ryan Walsh develops out this concept, some very low cost training to help you launch your own prep center. We're going to even send you leads because there's leads everywhere right now. People want prep centers. So let's jump in and enjoy this interview with Ryan. Hey, Ryan, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Jim. Thanks for having me.
Good to talk to you, man. Talk to you once a week, part of the mastermind. And so we've worked together a lot, but we haven't got you in front of the community enough. I've got a lot of questions I can't wait to dive into with you today. But let's start here with your story, your connection to the community. Just go whatever direction you want to go, and then we'll dive in.
It's been interesting to think about that because a lot has happened since I joined the community. Like a lot of people during the whole COVID period, a lot of things changed. You talk about the change in the Amazon world and how that sped things up. I guess it kind of sped things up for me. I was an online seller, but I was primarily in eBay, like where you started. I was in sports memorabilia primarily, and I was looking to get some diversity in my profile. So I moved over. I said, I want to move over to Amazon. I found the program. I really liked the stuff I saw from the Proven Amazon course and reading up on the community. So I kind of accelerated quickly. I've heard a lot of stories since then of people that have joined the community, and it's been kind of a slower, I was comparing multiple communities. I'm somebody that if I like something, I kind of go for it. So I saw your community. I liked the information that I saw. And so I joined PAC, but then pretty soon afterwards, I was on a call with Matt Thompson and getting into the coaching program, because the whole idea for me was I was thinking, okay, memorabilia, that's a niche market. People aren't going to have room for this in their lives. They're going to need to be tightening up their budgets during COVID. It didn't exactly end up going that way. That's probably a story for another day, but that ended up growing in itself, and I still kind of went down that path concurrently, but grew in the Amazon pretty quick. I had Larry and Sue Pruitt as my coaches, and they were great coaches for me. They've become friends. I think that's the evolution that'll be fun to highlight during the interview here, because you can go from, hey, I'm a new person in the community, but it's right. Kind of a meritocracy to a degree, and I really like that part of your community. So I worked with them, built up pretty quickly, was in the 5 digits pretty quickly. And then I had my store suspended for a while. It took a bunch of appeals. I eventually got it cleared. But by the time that was done, I lost a little bit of momentum. I had kind of pivoted, and I'd helped a local 3PL add a prep center to their resume, essentially. It was my cousin who ran a fulfillment center. He was transitioning from kitting and more manufacturing-based stuff, since we're in Michigan. That was pretty common ballywick back then. But he wanted to move into e-commerce, saw the opportunity there. So we combined the existing e-commerce elements that he had, and then I helped stand up the prep center during the time that my store was down. And then eventually his business partner wanted to transition on after they got out of the manufacturing space. I bought in, and now we're partners on this. So we've been growing both sides. So we're a full service third-party logistics company based here in Michigan, 18,000 square feet, do pretty much everything. But we've focused on the prep side, especially with the community here. And yeah, I'm on the mastermind every week. That's been a huge development for us. That's been a great opportunity. I know the first one, I followed some of the people from, I think it was the first one, Jim, you'd have to kind of key me in, but the Death Wish coffee and things like that, I followed those people. So then I saw the opportunity and was honored to be accepted into that. And yeah, I mean, the level of ideas and the brainstorming, because in this world, thankfully, we have all this access to the proven Amazon course and the proven community, but it's hard because you can be isolated in your own thoughts in your own area, and you
Right.
don't necessarily have people that can help you in your workplace, because a lot of us, our workplaces are home. I have a small, we have our warehouse, but you want to have people that you can bounce ideas off of, and the mastermind has been great for that.
Yeah, yeah, it's quite a journey going from, I love how you kind of started off as like, a newbie, kind of clueless, to the community, and you've done some eBay stuff, but the benefits of plugging into a community, building relationships, getting those fresh ideas, and the power of that. It's not any one person, it's a collection of different ideas from and different inputs, and you're part of the mastermind, and you're getting feedback from your clients. And something else I want to point out that I just see over and over and over again in our community. You mentioned you got suspended and that was a hit, but the momentum you already had and the relationships you already had allowed you to make a pivot. Okay, what else can my skill set do for me here? How else can I serve based on the things that I've learned so far? And I think sometimes new sellers are surprised to realize how quickly they become very valuable. Their knowledge about how to sell on Amazon is a valuable asset, helping brands, helping other sellers. And in this case, to start to transition the conversation, Ryan, there are a lot of people out there that don't want to touch box tape. They want to do this business. They want to be a reseller. They want to sell online. Maybe they can't because they live in another country outside the United States and it's logistically impossible. Or maybe they just don't have the room in their home, or they'd rather pay and avoid the inconvenience of having boxes in their home. That's what we're going to start talking about. Is there's a big demand for small prep centers that we've discovered.
The,
We're approached literally daily by people saying, "Hey, I need someone to help me with this."
there's a convalescence of opportunity here, I think, on both sides. I'm glad you brought that up. About, I just want to touch on the previous point, because I think people, we all have challenges that we have to overcome in our lives, and they come in different shapes and sizes. But I think you need to look at that as an opportunity sometimes of hey, let's not look at what door is closing. Let's look at where the window's opening, or where the opportunity is, because as long as you're growing, developing your skill set yourself, you can then apply that in a myriad of ways, like you were saying, Jim, because although you have a lot of proven methods that you teach in the community, and there may be some that are good ones to start people on. And obviously we got 3P Mercury in the mix, and we've got a lot of good systems developing, but there's a lot of room within Amazon and within e-commerce where you can go different directions. And so the Prep Center direction seemed like it was for me, but I'm glad I went into it, because part of the reason I started in it, and this was several years ago, but even then I reached out to a bunch of prep centers when I was initially at that phase, saying, okay, I've got to scale. I've got too many boxes in my basement, that this isn't working as well. I'm going up and down the stairs with every box, and let me find a more efficient process. And I reached out to at least a half a dozen prep centers, and I didn't have the prep center community list, the Prep Center Network list from the proven community, so that would probably made it easier. But I reached out to a few that I found, and there, out of the 6 of them, I got a response from only one of them, and they said, sorry, we're at capacity. We don't have room for you. Now, I eventually convinced them to take me on. It didn't end up happening because of the suspension. But I think I see now I'm on the other side of it. Now we have a prep center, and we have people asking about this stuff every day, as you mentioned. And I do think that there's a gap here, because you have people that are looking to scale, and they're moving in because of communities like this. Especially, you're creating new businesses at a compounding rate. There's new businesses creating every day because of the proven Amazon community. And now 3P Mercury, you're growing businesses to the fact that to the point where they don't have the room in their homes. But prep centers at my level, where we're bigger, we're looking for a little higher volume sometimes, and then that we don't turn away new people, especially within the proven community. But there's a lot of prep centers of a certain size are kind of sharing this mindset of, we don't take on a ton. I know a few that take on new folks, but I think it makes more sense. And we've talked about this, and that's kind of where this idea was born out of of having a prep center that can grow with you, that can be at a similar stage of the journey, somebody that got to the point, because we have this too. We have people that transition to us and they say, hey, I really like putting tape on boxes. And although it's almost always good advice when you say, well, okay, you don't need to be putting tape on boxes anymore. You need to be scaling. You need to be finding new leads. You need to be doing things that grow your business. I think in this case, identifying those people that say, hey, I have a good prep operation here. I have a third stall in my garage that I have all the supplies set up and I like doing my shipments. And rather than outsourcing that to somebody else that's maybe filling up or not or at capacity on the prep center side, well, why don't we turn you into a prep center and give you the tools and give you the oversight and the advice and the training to help do that. And then through, outlets like the coaching program and different things, there's an easy way to generate leads and have new people where, yeah, they're overseas, what have you, they're growing, but they need somebody to help. And there's going to be a lot of geographical advantages to this too, because maybe certain people are going to be in certain areas having small communities. But we suggest this to a lot of people that aren't here in Michigan, because we do this in Michigan. We have a small Facebook group of local sellers, and they may work with us or they may not. But right. It's nice to share the ideas like we talked about with the mastermind and the proven community. And so if you can do that locally, that's a way to generate some folks along with some leads from the proven community. So there's an opportunity there to kind of have prep centers that are growing to the same degree that these students are.
Yes, I love it. Kind of growing up together. I love that visual. Yeah, the bigger prep centers have their specializations, and you come along as a new seller, you may or may not be able to get on their radar. He's like, hey, I'm only going to be sending in maybe 20, 30 units in the next month. Is that okay? Like most of them are going to say, that's really outside of our specialization. But a small prep center, it's like, yeah, we'll prep your stuff for you for a few bucks. And then you grow together. You've got a new partner. You've got someone else that you can interact with in the business, learn from. I love this model. I want to drop a link. I probably mentioned it already in the introduction as well, but silentjim.com/PrepCenterTraining. That's the theme today. We're going to help you decide. Maybe some people are deciding, hey, I might need a prep center. Well, that's one thing we can certainly conclusion you can come away from today. But the more important thing that we want to talk about is if you've got some extra room, like Ryan already mentioned, you're already doing some prep for Amazon, you've got some extra room, you want some extra income from people who could use your services to do the prep work for them. We've got some training coming soon based on how much demand we hear from the people who see this episode and some other promos we're doing. We got some training coming. A lot of the heavy lifting's already been done to help you get set up. The tools, technology, the training. We want to put an offer together that maybe includes those things if there's enough interest, which I really think there will be. We've got our list at PrepCenterNetwork.com, right? And let me just throw a few bullet points out here, Ryan, and then you take the ball. But PrepCenterNetwork.com is a free service that we provide to all Amazon seller communities. If you need someone to receive your shipments because you can't do it yourself, that's a list of all known prep centers. We don't really have a system of ranking them, although we do give preferential treatment to our 3P Mercury prep centers, of which you're one, by the way, at Encore Business Group there. But it's just a list. And we're looking to grow that list because there's not enough companies on there that'll take on new, smaller sellers and partner up and work with them. And we saw it as a huge opportunity. So what am I leaving out there? And I stuck links to all of that in the show notes, by the way, for the notes near this interview. You can go find links to everything I just mentioned. What am I leaving out? Where would you like to go from there?
Well, I was thinking about the different roads to how we got here, because you mentioned the not having preferential treatment and kind of like leading people to that list. That's actually kind of one of the reasons I figured out that there was an opportunity there, because I think that's the big thing to prop up. And we're talking about it all through the call, but the opportunities here on multiple ends of this spectrum, that there's opportunities for everybody, because I have several coaches from the Jim Cockrum program that will have one of their people call me, not necessarily to do prep with us, but because I have a lot of connections within the industry and they know that I'm willing to say, hey, no, let's not just generate business for Encore. let's look for a rising tide that kind of lifts all the boats. And I think this will help us do that, because although we do have some avenues there, we need another tier of this, where the tier that's already in existence and learning a lot of things can then help the newer prep centers that have come through the coaching program maybe, and they've learned a bunch of things about the sourcing, about growing their business, and then we help layer in the prep stuff and add that layer and connect people, because that's the word I wanted to highlight when you said find a partner, because I think that's the part that some people, when they find a prep center, they don't understand that it's beyond just putting tape on boxes. And yes, we want to do that in an efficient way and help your business, but we constantly have consulting calls with people, and because we see things, we're the centralized unit that see things that maybe can help our individual clients, which without negatively affecting any of the other businesses. It's not the secret information or anything about the other businesses. It's just the idea that we see so many different things come through our prep center. I think that's going to be something that will help on even the smaller scale of a few clients out of a garage. If they're constantly doing Amazon and then finding some ways to improve, you're almost building your own small little mastermind with your customers in your prep center. If you've got a small prep center that's in this network that we're creating, and you have 3 or 4 clients, you almost have a built-in mastermind where you can share ideas that then improve all of the businesses and lift all of them up by the synergy of just combining brains that are business building warriors and helping each other and helping the community, and basically taking the lifeblood of this community and instilling it in their own businesses.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's a very synergistic. The relationship, as you're describing it, the relationship that comes to mind is the prep center wants you to succeed. That means they're going to make more money. They're in your corner. It's a partner who wants you and has an incentive to see you succeed as a seller. And with all the automation, I think I'm going to pivot here for just a minute and talk about 3P Mercury. I know you've been kind of on the cutting edge of integrating into 3P Mercury and taking on those students. But one of the things that's becoming possible for those who aren't aware, I know you know this, Ryan, but 3P Mercury is this complete workflow system for resellers that's revolutionizing. We're calling it the crown jewel software for resellers, right? But it allows some pretty interesting, unique, and what's the word I'm looking for? Elegant solutions for prep centers. Because as a prep center, correct me if I'm wrong, you're just logging into the client's 3P Mercury account to check in their inventory, as if they were doing. You just, instead of them logging in, you're logging in. Instead of it going to their front porch, it goes to your loading dock, and you log into their 3P Mercury account and check it in. It's really taken a lot of the complications out of the process. And if 3P Mercury does anything really, really well, it's the process of checking in inventory and assigning these random boxes to the proper ASIN and getting it in and out the door as efficiently as possible. It's really good at that piece. So I like this emerging relationship between more and more prep centers and 3P Mercury. Speak to that for just a minute from your perspective, not from the industry as a whole, but, what are you seeing? And I know that it's a developing relationship, but, where are we at with you guys, and how do you see 3P Mercury playing a role in all?
Well, we talked about the different links that kind of led us to this. In a lot of ways, I think 3P Mercury was kind of the missing piece, because when we started talking about this concept, we were talking about, okay, this has always been an issue with prep centers, is finding the right software to get everybody onto, and then get them onto the same sheet of music, so to speak, and make the process as efficient as possible. And nothing against any of the other existing ones. You have Inventory Lab, Scan Power, those all have their advantages. But the clients that we've had use 3P Mercury, we've been amazed by the efficiency that's been created on our side, because this is, like you said, this is an elegant solution for a lot of sellers and resellers. But Kang's looking at it from all the different angles. I've been on calls with him, and he's going to be growing the prep center side of things too. He's got different initiatives that he's working on, but that's one of the pieces that he's going to be growing to hopefully replace any need for software, because right now it integrates and then goes into an Inventory Lab. But the fact that it makes that part a lot more efficient, we're saving a lot of time And that's going to help because we're a prep center. A lot of prep centers are like this, where we try to pass the gains on to our customers and our partners. Because, like you said, it's not just, hey, we can raise prices whenever we want. We need our people to succeed. So we need to make sure their margins are staying as consistent as possible. Of course, we're susceptible to increases in pricing too. So we have to be aware of all that. But if you add in the efficiency in of the 3P Mercury, that's saving us a ton of time on the prep side that we can just upload that file and then send it into Inventory Lab. And once Kang develops the potential for, hey, no, now we don't even have to upload this to anything. It'll go right in and we can send it through that. That'll be another phase. But even right now, it's added a ton of efficiency. And I think it's the right software to meld the two worlds, especially for these smaller sellers that we're catering to with this idea that, hey, you've been building this up. Hopefully you are on 3P Mercury. It's the right choice regardless. I think for all these newer sellers, it is the software to get on. And then if you do have interest in the prep center side, you don't need to change. That's been a challenging piece for some customers that come on and maybe they use Scam Power. Now, well, we're an Inventory Lab based facility. So now what do? Do we try to use their account? Now, if we can have everybody on 3P Mercury, we can have the confidence to say, no, we've seen all the other softwares. We've done demos. We've used a lot of them. And this is the best one that we've seen come through our prep center. And they're telling us that they're going to be able to handle all the functions of some of these other ones. And so that's going to be another piece that all these pieces are growing together. The prep center is growing with the coaching student, and now the software, which is already in great shape and already producing a lot of results that you emphasize and advertise. That's also growing too and developing, but it's already become a premier software that we've worked with anyway.
Yeah. It's exciting to see all the pieces kind of coming into sync where we're offering a business opportunity where if you don't want to be the one touching boxes, you don't have to be. And the elegant solution that we're offering to the prep center that handles your inventory for you is emerging as the most efficient among the options out there, keeping your prices low. So the prep center can be profitable, the seller can be profitable, making it make less and less sense for some people to do it on their own. But some people are really good at it and they want to do it on their own. And they want to take on a few clients too. That's an option as well. So it's to each their own. Some people have the garage space, an extra bay. Hey, man, turn that into a business space. Tax deductions start becoming possible and all kinds of interesting relationships emerge. We've got the software solutions for it. And that's the stuff we're talking about today. Just as a quick recap for those who are listening, I'm spending time with Ryan Walsh today, who's going to be leading up our effort. And I mentioned this in the introduction, but he's going to be leading up our efforts to begin educating the Amazon seller community at large on what's involved in becoming a prep center. And we're also gathering any and all known prep centers and putting them on one big list just as a resource. So if you know of a prep center that isn't on our PrepCenterNetwork.com list, go there. Maybe you already have a prep center. Maybe it's just a space in your garage. We'll put you on the list. People are going to reach out to you. Your reputation is in your own hands, but we'll put you on that list. But we're looking to grow that list because, again, as Ryan pointed out earlier, there are a lot of sellers out there who don't want to handle boxes themselves. They'd rather pay someone a little bit to handle that piece of their business. And especially if you live international, it's a necessity. But even if you live in the US, you may or may not want stuff coming to your house, or you may not have a warehouse where you can do it, but it's a necessary piece. So that's what we're talking about today. And the link, if you're interested in getting trained on becoming a prep center, a small one that takes on a few clients profitably, go to silentjimdotcom/prep center training. We've got an email list that we're growing. Over time, we're going to have some more resources based on feedback and what your interests are. And you'll be hearing from Ryan more as he kind of heads up this initiative in our community. Hey, we'll get back to the episode in just a moment, but I've got a question for you. How do you know if you're really making money as a reseller on Amazon or Walmart? Well, Seller Central will show you your revenue, but it doesn't capture all the details, the refunds, the fees, the changing supplier prices, overhead. Well, that's why a lot of smart sellers are using Seller Board. That's the profit analytics software that's built to keep your numbers straight. Sellerboard reconciles every sale, every expense in real time. They use first in, first out, FIFO accounting, so your profit reports stay accurate even when your cost of goods change from batch to batch. It now works for Walmart as well, not just Amazon, so you can see your margins across both platforms all in one place. And here's a game changer for resellers, Sellerboard's new reseller workflow. You can scan products in store with the mobile app, instantly check profit potential, add them to your buy list, then build offers, print labels, and manage inbound FBA shipments, all while Sellerboard keeps profit tracking accurate at each step. You can try it out for 2 months for free if you use the link silentjimdotcom/numbers. Check out Sellerboard for as low as $15 a month with a 2-month free trial at silentjim.com/numbers. Understand your numbers today with Sellerboard, the accurate profit analytics software. Let's get back to today's episode. Over time, we're going to have some more resources based on feedback and what your interests are. And you'll be hearing from Ryan more as he kind of heads up this initiative in our community. But there was a list of benefits that we kind of quickly brainstormed for people to get in on being part of this network of smaller prep centers that we're proposing here, the training, the 3P Mercury ties. We're going to be referring you clients because, again, our phone rings constantly. You're going, just by being on that list, you're going to have people inquiring and asking if you could take their business. It's an in-demand thing. Something that Jimmy Smith pointed out right before we hopped on this call today, Ryan, was all the discounts on supplies that you can enjoy. So even if you're a prep center out there doing it on your own right now, you need to get into our Prep Center Network because we've got some significant discounts. And even the little guys who have 1 or 2 clients shipping out a few hundred things a month, maybe, you can get those same discounts is the vision we have right now. Are there any of the benefits that kind of come to mind for you? The masterminding of the ideas, the best practices, the standard operating procedures, the software, the training that goes along with how to handle someone else's inventory, the discounts. What else? Anything else come to mind? That's a pretty good list already.
Yeah, that's a strong list. There, I have kind of 2 comments based on that, but to answer the primary question first, I think because, like you said, there are people out there, and I think a lot of people are going, well, I want to get away from the pack and ship as soon as I can. And that's fine. But we have run into people at the conference. I remember there were even couples that they were working together in their business, and one would say, hey, I need to get rid of this stuff. I need to get it out of my house. And then the other half of the couple would go, I really like doing this. And so although we can't necessarily help with that piece of it, they've got to figure that out within their own relationship. There are a lot of people that do have the ability to do this. And I think understanding that, hey, if you do have a good, it's kind of like analogous to the industry as a whole and business as a whole. If you have the setup already, you've already taken the time to set up the third stall in your garage or your basement or whatever to house your prep operation, and you're sending hundreds of units a month out through that. Now that setup is done. So if you're taking on a new client, somebody that we can refer to, and you're then able to, now you have the whole setup. You don't have to rework the wheel, so to speak. You don't have to really add anything besides some supplies, but now you're working into the network here, and you'd be able to save on supplies. So that next bit of supplies, you're actually saving costs because you're bumping up on supplies. So you've now saved money within your own business, but then making money on the back end, because that's where people, when they do expand into warehouses, I've heard a lot of these stories within the community, Jim, where you've created such great business building warriors that they then have to expand. Okay, I got to get this out of my house. I got to go into a warehouse. I'm not quite ready to be in a prep center yet. I still want to run this. I still want to run this in a warehouse. But the problem, once they get into a warehouse, and if it's independent from their own home, all local warehouse, then they added a lot of, if we can do that before you even move to a separate, smaller facility and do that out of your home, that would be great. But even if it is a small local facility that you got a good deal on with the rent, then you can add in the extra customers, and that can help you. Because I think the other point I wanted to make, I thought about this after we talked about kind of how we got here. This is another avenue of how we got here, because I grew up in Amazon, like you said, as a newbie in the Jim Cockrum community. So that the proven community was what I understood as kind of the best practices. And so the idea that the candlelight as opposed to cake and some of the phrases that you coined, that was always my mindset. And so then I got into a prep center, and then I looked at the prep center landscape and I said, well, wait a minute, we're kind of looking at this as too cakey right now. This is we're looking at this as our piece.
Competition.
Then,
Yeah.
exactly. And then as we built up the sponsor side of giving some good prep center options at the Proven Conference, and Susan and Travis and some of the coaches helped with that, and I pitched in. Then we saw people actually walking people around. I'd get somebody coming in saying, hey, I'm based down in Houston, Texas, and I need a prep center, and they tell me about their business, and I go, okay, we're going to walk over here to End Zone, and they're going to be able to help you also with a 3P Mercury certified prep center, and we work with them. I think people would think, maybe some people would think it's odd, not in this community, but would think it's odd that I'm mentioning another prep center on the call with us. But
Right.
that's what it should be like. And that's, now we can create the part that we're talking about with the small prep centers. We can kind of create that in our own image and not have to ingratiate that community into it. We can, it's already there. It's built in, it's built in the lifeblood. And so then we can create that and have the proper, because through you and your community, we have the proper oversight and systems in place to be able to say, hey, yeah, don't individually start all this stuff. As prep centers, we did all that on our own. That's very time consuming. That's losing revenue for these prep centers. If we can help the smaller ones start out that way, then who knows, maybe they'll grow into something bigger. Maybe they'll want to start one. We can help along with those phases, but having the systems in place is going to save people a lot of time and money and get them making money sooner.
Yeah. You raised an excellent point, and I love that you just naturally drifted into being the one that's like, hey, if I'm not the best prep center and I know someone who could do a better service for you, I'm going to refer you to them. They're closer. They specialize more in the type of products you have, right? There's a business lesson there. It's not just because we're also virtuous and kind and generous, and that is part of our culture. Absolutely it is. But that's not the driving force behind this. There's a bigger business lesson that's timeless. It's thousands of years old. I've heard my mentor, who studies biblical business principles, talk about this frequently. There's a reason when you go to a big city, there's like the jewelry district, and it's one jewelry store after another next to each other, right? And you might think, oh, those guys must be mortal enemies. No, they're all doing better as a result of being in the middle of where people go when they think jewelry. And you walk into one guy and like, hey, I'm looking for the specific kind of watch. He's like, oh yeah, we don't really do that. 2 doors down, that's the guy. And that relationship that's being built there and the reputation of the community at large helps all of them make more money. It's co-opetition. They're cooperating, and sure, they'd rather get the sale if possible, but they each have their own little specializations, and they're operating in close proximity to each other, and they all make more money. So premise I'm basically proposing is, even if we were a bunch of mean, selfish, grumpy Scrooges, we'd still be better off cooperating and referring each other business. We'd make more money in the end. It's the cherry on top, the fact that we do have a culture that sees this as candlelight, meaning it doesn't cost me anything to share my candlelight with other unlit candles, instead of a cake where, hey, once the fast guys with the biggest forks get to it, the opportunity's gone. That's a scarcity mindset, and we don't have it. And we benefit from that in tremendous ways, absolutely. But it doesn't require that mindset to see the benefit of, let's have a directory. People can specialize. Someone down the street with some extra garage space is going to make a lot more sense for me as a prep center if I'm new and small, versus sending my stuff across the country and trying to interact with somebody I may never meet, right? It just makes sense to have this large cooperative community. I don't want to beat the point to death too much, but I think it's worth mentioning, that a large community of easily reached prep centers with a lot of personal attention, we're all going to make more money that way. It's not a competitive environment, especially when you add in the fact, Ryan, that this is a rapidly expanding blue ocean. More people shopped on Amazon this year than they did last year. And it's been true for about 15, 16 years now. It's going to be true into the future. All the projections are. This is a rapidly growing pool of opportunity. And we haven't even pointed out, Amazon itself is getting out of the prep business. They went to tens of thousands of brands and said, hey, you know what? We can't deal with you directly anymore. We're not going to receive your inventory into our warehouse directly. You need to do the prep yourself. Find a prep center. Find somebody who can slap labels on your stuff and get it ready for our shelves. We're not going to do that for you any longer. Unless you're a mega brand, we don't want you on our phones. All those brands are now out there scrambling. Like they need a prep center. They're in the business of making stuff, not prepping it for Amazon's shelves. So even more opportunity there. So this is not only a rapidly growing opportunity in our community among resellers, brands need this as well. And there's more than one name I could drop right now, Ryan, of sellers who started off selling. They got familiar with the process. They transitioned to helping out a brand and ended up becoming that brand's representative. And that's what they do now is a handful of brands. They do prep for a handful of big brands, shipping their stuff to Amazon all day, every day. That empty shelf space that you have can be very, very valuable as a resource in many ways. So yeah, any thoughts on all of that before we transition to the next segment?
I'm glad you brought up the Amazon piece because I'm just thinking of obviously the basics of economics. You got supply and demand.
Yes.
There's a lot of demand where there's a few aspects that are basically increasing the demand all across the board. We're talking about how 3P Mercury is creating bigger sellers and your community as a whole is creating more and more sellers every day. Yeah, Amazon now then increased the demand on their side because there was probably a time where people thought, okay, they're going to grow this aspect of their business. They're going to take over more of this prep. They're going to try to do this on and
send us your stuff. We'll do the prep. People thought that's where Amazon was going for a long time. Even if you're a small reseller, just send us your stuff. We'll do the prep.
And as you know better than I do, Jim, that it's the idea is good, but the amount of resources that you're going to need while still filling the existing need that Amazon does, it's almost impossible. So they finally kicked back and said, "Hey, like you said, all these brands hit the market," and so now this database that we'll be able to compile and this map, that makes me think that this is going to make everything a lot easier on my side because as somebody, I was thinking about that when you're talking about this as a whole. Logistics, third-party logistics prep, that's a solutions-based business. So to a degree, I can't know about a better solution for somebody, even if it's working with somebody else, and not suggest it. It's just not within how we do things. But now we're getting a lot more demand, and we're creating a lot more solutions for the people. So now the board opens up both ways, which is going to be, like you said, advantageous for everybody involved.
Yeah. And I don't want to be too sunshine and rainbows and, hey, everybody should have a prep center. It's easy money. It's work.
It is.
That's the transition I want to make now is just make sure people realize, if you're a seller on Amazon, you already know it's work. Putting tape on boxes and getting everything packed and labeled, et cetera. Once you've been through a few iterations, you can do it in your sleep. And you could visualize, I'm sure, hey, I'll do this for a few other people and get paid to do it. But what's the reality of this? Let's say, Ryan, I'm a small seller. I'm just getting going. I got plenty of space. Like, wow, okay, I could do prep for a handful of other sellers my size. How realistic is it for me to expect to make a go of it and actually be excited about the profit I'm seeing 3 to 6 months from now from going down that road? Like, what's the reality of taking on other people's stuff and making money doing it while having happy clients? Just the basics. I mean, I know you could probably talk for an hour about that, but hit me with like, is this something I want to do or not? Give me a couple minutes worth of info to help me make a decision here. And as you're thinking about that, I want to drop the link one more time, silentjim.com/PrepCenterTraining. You want to get on that list. If you're thinking about maybe doing this, there's no commitment or obligation by being on that list. It's just, you want to get more information along the lines of what Ryan's about to share with us now. What's the reality here? What's the opportunity here? So go ahead and dive in that direction a little bit for me.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I like discussing it from a totality aspect because I think the one thing to keep in mind is as I came up as a seller too, as a reseller, It's all about your grind, how much you want to push. You want to learn from these different aspects. You want to learn from the community. And the more you learn, the more you hustle. Usually there's a compounding effect that the more business you're able to create. This is adding another link into the process because although we really enjoy, and that was a part that led me into the Prep Center, I enjoy working with brands and working with our partners and working with clients. But that's another aspect that you're adding in here. If you're becoming a prep center, you're adding in the customer service aspect here, and you're having your business now depends a bit on them because you mentioned that earlier, Jim. But yeah, there's many reasons why I want our customers to succeed, but there's a very basic one of, hey, you grow, we grow. If you sell more, we're able to prep more, and
Right.
and the rising tide lifts all those boats. So you have to keep in mind that you're going to be taking on clients and customers that have different personalities, but they also have different ideas. We highlighted that before. They have different ideas. They have different things that they could help you on, and you can help each other. But I think even in a 3 to 6 month timeline, that's where the scale is important here, because I'm obviously a larger prep center. We're 18,000 square feet. Once we moved from 5,000 to 18,000, we had a lot of space to fill. We basically had 10 coming in, and then we had to fill that space. And then as we filled that space, we became more profitable. If you have a space that you're already paying for, it's in your basement, it's in your garage, and you have it all set up, you don't really have a lot of variable costs associated with the expansion. You're going to add some supplies. You're going to have some time that you're going to have to dedicate to those customers as part of the relationship with them and building that relationship. But other than that, once you get that in, then now you're creating more hours of the day where you're making money. And I think that's something that we've realized as far as the different, because we have different monetization paths that we go down as a business. I think this helps resellers where all the resellers know this. I'm not telling anybody, especially you, Jim, that's something they don't know, but it's a lot of money out initially. It's okay, you got to spend the money. Then if you use a prep center, or if you use other services, now you got to send it in, and now you got to wait for your money to come back. You help the community churn as much as possible, but it's still, hey, I've got this money out and I'm waiting for it to come back and get to the top of my money. This is a way where you can say, hey, I don't really have a lot of expenses in this. I'm the first to get paid. I'm on net 15 terms or what have you with the customer. And now I'm able to bring in the money. And so I prepped my stuff on Monday and I prepped theirs on Tuesday. And before my stuff even started selling, I got paid for that Tuesday prep. Now I can go buy more items on my side of things and build my business.
Great point. It's a cash flow solution. Yeah, you're not waiting a few weeks for the inventory you bought to sell. You don't have to wait till your client's inventory sells to get paid. You're getting paid to do the prep work. I love it. Yeah, so it becomes a cash flow solution for someone who wants to spin up a little quicker. Someone who's got a little more time and a little more space than they have the money that they'd like to have from this business. It becomes a pretty viable option for them to consider. And you don't have to take on, I mean, you can say no. Okay, here comes 8 people that want to be a client. You only like one of them and what they're willing to pay. All right, take one client. You don't have to say yes to everyone just because they're part of our community. I know you're as generous as you can be, but you've had to say no. People say, prep centers say no all the time. Trust me, I see the messages, people popping in. Hey, I called 12 prep centers and they all said no. Yeah, they're busy. It's an in-demand thing, which is why we're doing this. But yeah, that's seeing this as a cash flow solution to sellers who are trying to ramp up a little faster. I hadn't even thought of that angle because your money's flowing in a different, it's not just more profitable, but you're getting your money sooner, earlier in the process. The last things to spin up, because we hear all the time, and it's just, capital is my challenge. I've got more profitable products than I can ever hope to buy. Capital is the challenge. Here's a solution to get more capital quickly. Nice. Yeah. Well, any other thoughts along those lines? I think we've provided a lot of really good info today. This is one of those episodes. I think it's going to generate some good interest. And I know you're going to be available in the community as people have questions, Ryan, and you're very active in the community. Anything else you're hoping to cover today that you think might be valuable for someone who's considering either becoming a prep, using a prep center, signing up for our list? What else would you start to leave us with as we start to wind this one down?
I think we did a pretty good job covering everything. I want to marry it with kind of some of the concepts that we've been talking about and that you already have. I think, like I said, we needed to adjust the mindset on the prep community as a whole. And that same wide blue ocean that you talk about with Amazon, that exists in the prep community for the myriad of reasons that we're talking about. And I think that's the key. So don't close yourself off to it. Like you said, it's not going to be for everybody, but if you have some interest, reach out to me, reach out at that link, and we'd be happy to find a solution, because there may be solutions out there that you're not even aware of. That's why we're proposing things like this. And this is a solutions oriented business, solutions oriented community, and we want to make sure to provide those solutions. And it is so wide open that's why we're kind of leaving it like this, because we want to build it in the image of the community and for the needs of the customers and the client.
Yeah, it's going to be tremendous offer, and you can wade in nice and slow. It's not going to be a super pricey thing. We're helping meet an in-demand need. We want it to be profitable for the people who jump in with you and open a prep center. And if it doesn't work out, you can wind it down pretty easy. Take on a few clients, wade in, see what you think, right? Give it a shot. But yeah, we're very excited to be doing this with you, Ryan. I love how you've helped shape out this idea, and I think at this point, it's safe for us to just put it in the hands of the community and let's just kind of crowdsource the creative of what questions emerge and who's interested. And basically, to recap, if you got some extra space and you're comfortable putting tape on boxes, prepping according to Amazon's guidelines, which you can learn in a few hours, hey, there's a business model here. It's in demand. And you need to get over to silentjimdotcom/prep center training. That link and all the other links we talked about will be in the show notes today. But yeah, great session today, Ryan. I learn something every time I'm with you, man, and I value you as a treasured leader and partner in this community. Thank you for your excellent service. And of course, this is Ryan with Encore Business Group. What's you guys' website if someone's looking for a great prep center? Maybe they're right up your alley.
Just encorebusinessgroup.com. We have intake forms on there, and yeah, reach out for any of the reasons that we're talking about. We'd be happy to help people with the prep side of things, but we get inquiries of all kinds, like I mentioned, and we're happy to find the solution that works best for you.
Hey, you said you got an 18,000 square foot warehouse. How many boxes are you guys pushing out a week, and how big's your team?
We run a pretty efficient team. We've got a team of 6, basically full time, and we have obviously there's ups and downs of the industry. So you have part time and all of that. But yeah, we've got different sectors of our business. But box wise, yeah, I mean you're looking at thousands of boxes going out there a week, and yeah, it's fun. I really have grown to like it, and so that's why it's nice to advertise this to people, because like you've said, a lot of people, okay, well, I got to be done with this. I don't want to put tape on boxes anymore, but I like the ever developing aspects of it. And it's a very interesting industry, and we work on the logistics side too, and have different partners that way. And that's another thing that could come out of this. There's other logistics opportunities. Not that I want to make the concept too expansive, but you don't know what opportunities are going to come from this. That's why we're opening the doors to it.
Yeah, exactly. When we all start getting together and kind of crowdsourcing our creative thought, there's going to be opportunity to save money, make money, bring new value to Amazon sellers at large. And yeah, you're doing a great job. Thank you for stepping into a leadership role. I mean, just in full transparency, I approached a handful of really good prep centers, and bounced this idea around for a few years. And a lot of them are like, oh no, I don't want to help my competitors get more clients. I'm like, oh, you don't quite get it. I'm talking about saving you a ton of money and making you a whole lot more money and a new revenue stream while helping other people make money. There's literally no losers in what's being proposed here. And you get it. You get it. So thanks for stepping in to help lead the charge on this, Ryan. I'm excited to see who steps alongside and takes this journey with us. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up here. Ryan, thanks for being with me today. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Appreciate the opportunity and look forward to working with you and the rest of the community here.
Thanks, Ryan. Thank you, man. You added a lot of value today. But hey, to the listeners who hung out with us today, maybe this was one of the first episodes you've ever heard. This was an unusual episode. The vast majority of our episodes are interviews with successful, proven Amazon course students who are building incredible businesses, which that's kind of what Ryan was today too. You never know what twist and turn is going to come your way when you jump into our community, start building your business, maybe get into coaching, start looking around for opportunity and partnership. This is where Ryan's journey went in this direction. But that's what all of our podcast episodes are for the most part, is interviews with the great students from the Proven Amazon course training. If you're ready to get started, you're green, you're new, this is one of the first episodes. I got a couple pieces of advice for you. Listen to a few dozen podcast episodes. That's going to give you a real good feel. A lot of times, way more specific content for the newer sellers than what you heard today. Or jump into the Proven Amazon course and just get going. It's $39 a month and it's everything you'll ever need. If you want to have a phone call with us, hop on a Zoom session with us, or just shoot us a text and ask some questions. We're here anytime. Go to silentjimdotcom/book a call. We'd love to have a conversation, put a plan in place, customized just for you, completely free, to get you from where you are now to where you'd like to be in your online business adventures. We've been doing this a long time. We'd love to help you out. All right, I think I'll wrap it up there. God bless you. If you're listening to this in real time, Merry Christmas. Christmas is coming up at us. Thank you to our special guest, Ryan Walsh with Encore Business Group. Links to everything in the show notes. We'll have a great episode for you again real soon. Talk to you then. Hey, thanks for joining us for today's episode. I've got to thank our sponsor one last time, Seller Board, found at silentjim.com/numbers. That's where you go to get a 2-month free trial. It starts for as low as $15 a month. Hey seller, do you want to know your true profits? Seller Board tracks every fee, refund, shifting cost of goods, plus a full reseller workflow from scanning in store all the way to shipping FBA. Price starts super low. Like I said, get started at silentjim.com/numbers. Thank you, Seller Board, for your sponsorship. We'll see you next episode.